Welcome to the Four Borders podcast.
Dave, did you say monumental collapse?
Monumental collapse. I think the Cowboys are becoming synonymous with that phrase, and I got a lot of thoughts on this game. I can't believe Mike McCarthy's still an NFL coach. The guy doesn't have it, hasn't had it since 2010. I feel like Jerry Jones got bamboozled hiring him. I think he's overrated. The fact that the Cowboys have at least 5 wins is mind-blowing to me. They have beaten up on some pretty bad teams. They totally had an opportunity to beat the Eagles at the last drive of the game, or last couple opportunities, last couple of minutes of the game, and the Cowboys did everything in their power to choke that game away. Here's an example: Dak Prescott's going for the 2-point conversion, steps out of bounds. Like, how do you do that right there? And then they had an opportunity to score. They had a false start. They had a delay of game. They took a sack. He's throwing the ball to a wide receiver 3 option.
Ferguson? Was that Ferguson?
Best player.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I don't know if it was Tolbert. I'd have to look. He doesn't target CeeDee Lamb there. Like, that's your best player. I don't know what you're doing there. So we were thinking about spoofing that, the Cowboys into, I think you guys are familiar with Lemony Snicket's in the series of unfortunate events. A buddy of mine had kind of said this is just a series of unintelligent events. And it made me think, this is Mike McCarthy and the series of unintelligent but not unexpected events, because you can't be surprised when the Cowboys make bad decisions, bad clock management, just bad play calling. I don't understand how they can consistently put themselves in a situation where they have a chance to win the game and they just have a monumental collapse. Any Cowboys fans out there, I would hope you agree with me, you can see the truth here, that the Cowboys blew that game. Comment what you think it would take for the Cowboys to turn it around.
Dave, I think a lot of Cowboys fans would agree with you, because they're probably looking at Mike McCarthy, and they're thinking to themselves, this guy can't coach. He can't coach himself out of a paper bag. And I think they're probably agreeing with you, if I had to guess. I think a lot of the wise ones have probably actually agreed with you for the past couple of years. I don't think that was a great hire. He didn't leave Green Bay because he had won too many. He's not like, okay, he's not riding off into the sunset like, okay, I won all these games, I'll see you later. Like, he didn't do great at the end.
Yeah, he was kind of run out of Lambeau. He overstayed his welcome. And even after winning Super Bowl, they were like, nope, we're done with this guy. So that should have been a clue to Jerry Jones. This guy's washed. I talked to another buddy who, he's got good football knowledge, but he's not a professional coach by any means. And he can sit there with a straight face and say, look, I would be a better coach than Mike McCarthy. So if you got fans on the street that are saying, like, I would do a better job than this guy, that says a lot.
Now,
about the quality of coaching.
Now, are some of those fans delusional? Yes, perhaps, and they might be armchair coaches as well. You know what kind of strikes me, though, listening to you talk about the Cowboys and how futile they are and how predictable it is? It sounds like the Lions. It really does. It sounds like the Lions, and there's a part of me, like, I kind of think, like, oh, did they switch roles? Is there like a team swap that happened with their identities? And granted, the Lions have just started coming on the past 2 years, and this is the first year they're looking pretty ominous. But, there's a part of me that can't help but think about it. And then the other thing I thought about was, if everybody recalls our award-winning episode about candy-ass teams, where we compared football teams to candy bars and how they geographically or symbolically or however they connected with that candy, that the Lions were the Snickers bar. And one might have thought, oh, the America's team is Dallas. But like I'm saying, Detroit's the new America's team. It's the Snickers. The Snickers is Detroit. We're the candy bar Snickers. Dallas isn't.
I love your point. I feel like that's a great hot take. Are the Cowboys the new Lions? I think I agree. I think they're frustrating to watch. They have a long history history the last like 20, 25 years of underachieving despite having talent around them. The difference is like their owner wants to win. Like they say they're committed to winning. They just can't figure it out. The difference between the Cowboys and the Lions is like the Cowboys do it to themselves. The Lions lately, like if they lose a game, a lot of times people are like, oh, same old Lions. A lot of times it's like it's things beyond their control. It's crazy. It's crazy calls by the refs, crazy scenarios, crazy rules that no one had ever heard of before. That's causing them to lose some of these games. But with the Cowboys, it's all on them. It's just terrible execution, terrible clock management, terrible game management, terrible coaching. Decision making has been poor by Dak. I mean, you are a veteran quarterback, and you don't know that you should be clocking that ball, spike it, and then you could have probably 2 plays. But they decided to rush a play and then got the clock down to 5 seconds. And it's like that play you just ran didn't do you any good. So I feel like Dak is not the guy. The only way Dak takes the Cowboys to the Super Bowl is if he rents a party bus, buys tickets, and drives everybody to Vegas for the Super Bowl. Because he's not taking them there for the game to play. He's taking them to spectate.
Yeah, that's a bummer for the Dallas fans, of course. But you mentioned the ownership, and that's kind of where it starts for me. Now, the Lions had the old matriarch, Ford. She was the owner, and then she handed it down. I believe she passed away, and Sheila Camp Ford is now the running chairperson of the team, and she's making those decisions, hiring Chris Spielman, who then hires Holmes and Campbell and so on and so forth. And, it's a new owner, same family, but new owner who's coming in there. With Jerry Jones, he's old. The dude is old, and there's got to be said for having too old of leaders. I mean, you see it in these 2 instances. You see it in American politics. You see it in Biden, and stumbling on the ground, forgetting everything that he's talking about, saying on national television that he shared a lot of state secrets. Like, you can look it up. He actually was on stage, and he literally says, I've shared a lot of state secrets. I've sold a lot of state secrets. And I just see these old people, and we're always supposed to revere them. But if they become demented, then how can we revere demented?
I like your parallel that you drew there, because if you're a Cowboys fan, Jerry Jones is like your president. And I think the difference is like Jerry Jones says he wants to do well, but he hasn't made this, he has unlimited money at his disposal to craft like a winning team, and he still hasn't gotten it done. I feel like you don't hear as much about him anymore. Is he still meddling in the day-to-day? Is he keeping McCarthy from being efficient? I feel like it doesn't matter. I don't know, if Jerry Jones is hands off or hands on, it won't matter at this point. I feel like McCarthy's not the right pick, and maybe Jerry Jones should just sell the team and get out of it.
No, he's got kids. Give it to one of your kids. I think he's got sons. And with the Biden and with Jones, you say that he says that he wants to do this, but every politician says they want to do it as well. They're always like, oh yeah, we're going to pay for all college, bills. We're not going to bring on some kind of a state tax for unrealized gains, capital gains tax, they say they're not going to do these things. We're not going to go to war. And then they do it. And you know what? It kind of makes me wonder is Jerry Jones, is his next slogan make the Cowboys great again? Is he just going to go all in and just start wearing make the Cowboys great again?
This is what I think. I think Jerry Jones is a little delusional. I don't think he'll admit that they're not great. I think he thinks they've been great the whole time. I think he's living in the 90s. I don't think he realizes the Cowboys are a little bit of a laughingstock if you think about it. For every year they get you pumped up that this is going to be the year, and they fall flat. They are the new Lions. I think I heard it here first with you, Alex. I've never heard anybody with that take before.
Yeah.
So that's a groundbreaking hot take. I think
syndicated, baby.
I think that's going to take off.
Yeah, take it and run. Let's go.
I just want to say, like, that's the only thing that you've ever said that's made sense.
Really?
I mean that's the first thing that you said that's made a semblance of sense.
Yeah, because I think before 12, I would have made, like before I was 12 years old, I would have made some sense. I think Billy Madison is really what did it for me. I saw that somebody that old could become professional doing the things that he's doing and get paid. I thought, you know what, maybe I can aspire for great things. With Jerry Jones, though, I feel like he's the patriarch. He's been the patriarch. He's got the pedigree. They've won Super Bowls, a lot of them, with him, and he's the emperor, right? But then when you don't have people, and I don't know this for certain, but I would imagine when you're at the very top, you start to think that you know it all, right? Well, if you've got people who might have some good ideas and they want to pass them on to you, but they're too nervous and they're too scared, they're too apprehensive to go up and mention that to you because they don't want to be scolded with boiling water, then, you know, I think that's where you have to take a step back, and that's where age, I think, starts to come into it because it happens more with time. So
you think Jerry Jones is just a little out of touch and he doesn't have anybody surrounding him that will, like, really give him the honest truth, like, hey, this is what we need to do?
I don't know the guy, but when you become that rich, that wealthy, and mostly that secluded from other people in reality, then yes, that's how I feel.
Okay. Well, if we could try to get Jerry Jones on the show maybe next week to hear his thoughts on it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we'd love to hear, and who you have lined up to succeed you. So that'd be...
Jerry Jones strikes me as the kind of guy that would never give up control. He'll never sell the team. He'll never relinquish power. He is going to be in charge of this team until he dies.
100%. And I mean, honestly, that's really what you saw with the Fords. And it's pretty frustrating. Of course, again, they've got the pedigree. The Fords didn't. But with Jerry Jones, yeah, he's going to try to cling on. That's what you do. I mean, it really is kind of reminiscent of like a, you know, it's death. It's almost what happens to everything, right? Unless you're like a Phoenix or a Highlander. So I think because Highlanders can't die, right? And speaking of which, Dave, I was just informed right before we started recording that tonight's episode is brought to you by Highlander the movie. And it's the original one, not the remake that they're doing right now. So Highlander the movie has come aboard, and unofficially, not officially, but they're actually not sponsoring this. That's the legal loophole. And, well, what do you think, Dave? We're sponsored by another hit movie.
I'd like to say this episode is brought to you in part, inspired in part, by Highlander, the movie, the original movie. So there's no official sponsorship, but it's inspired by Highlander, which that's a movie I haven't seen all the way through. And you said Highlanders can't die. If they get their head chopped off, they can die.
They can die, right. You're right about that. If they get their head chopped off, they can die. But that's why I said that happens to almost everything where the decline and the death comes, because theoretically there are some Highlanders out there who are still living. So that's my point.
If you say so.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, well, we better wrap this up. You got any more thoughts there?
We've covered a lot today. I feel like that's it. We've covered everything.
Yeah. It's been fun, Dave. Once again, another great episode of the Four Birdies podcast. If you haven't already, then like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
4 birdies.
4 of them. Birdies. See ya.